spend like going out of style this year, and that's what I want is to stop spending.
Like dealing.
But I look at it as spending less as cut.
Me and my dogs are
That's what I want to do. Nonsense spending.
It looks like the Taco Bell though, so I feel like she might understand cattle guards.
Just because she looks it.
Cattle guards.
Give him like.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, we're not doing that.
hot leg. Look at that.
Oh, yay. Awesome. Breakfast.
Yes.
You ready?
Test, test.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Thursday, May 2nd, 2024 special meeting of the Otero County Commission. I'd like to call this meeting to order and have a roll call, please.
Commissioner Markwart,
Here.
Commissioner Matherly,
Here.
Commissioner Burrell.
Here. Can you hear me? Can you move this up?
And I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve today's agenda.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, today we are going to have a public hearing for the fiscal year 2024-2025 budget. So let the games begin.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
I believe the things that we need to look at today are, there's a few capital outlay items that were pending some quotes. I honestly don't have any information on those. I'm not sure if information was forwarded to you all regarding the ergonomic workstations and wall removal over at the Treasurer's office, and then the portable buildings. I believe actually the Alamogordo one, I should have taken that off because there's no room for one, but Chaparral, need to consider that. And then there's still a few new hire requests, some salary increase requests, and then all of the community services grant funding. Those are the things that you need to take a look at today.
So we are going to remove the portable building for Alamogordo.
The one for Alamogordo, from what
Yeah.
I understand, there is no room to put one there. Is that correct?
Okay. I know we, at the animal shelter,
Oh, for.
Alamogordo.
Alamogordo. I
Yeah.
thought the portable shelter was for Chaparral.
Yeah, the one for Chaparral, that's still on there, but I thought that the one for Alamogordo, there's literally not enough land to put an additional portable. Is that,
No, I just wanted the one in Chaparral.
yeah, okay.
Okay,
Okay, yeah, so we'll take that one for Alamogordo off the list.
okay.
Do you have your new?
So where
There
are
it
you gonna
is. You just
locate the
flip
one in
past it.
Chaparral?
Yeah, we just scratch out the Alamo.
So before you get carried, where are you gonna put the one in Chaparral?
So, David, Sheriff Black, had a meeting, I think, did you go down there with that? To talk about the new sheriff's extension office?
Yeah, we did, but that's a long ways on,
Well,
down the
it-
road.
It is, but this is just kind of part of it, but that property is where we are thinking to put that portable building.
Right, but it will be probably 2 to 3 years before this ever kicks off, so I don't even think it needs to be in the budget this year. I mean, I understand the building and everything and the portable, but let's get that going before we throw this in,
Okay?
with, as far off as we are this year.
And I understand that. I was just trying to get the budget to where we could move forward in a couple of years with the new building and all of that, get it situated. And I was thinking that that would solve the problem of all the expenses of bringing those dogs here and all that, but, it's about $150,000 in expenses, so 20, would we save money or not? No,
Yeah.
it's just a future investment.
I'm more worried about trying to find the 6 million to do that project. And then we'll worry about getting the building on there. But, I mean, that's my thoughts.
So we'll take that one off also for this year.
And that, Amy, that money, this is the one that you're talking about with the kennels in it?
Yes.
Yeah, that's figured in that project.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Yeah, in that money that we're
Yes.
trying to get, so.
okay. Okay, so maybe next year we requested it again for that department to be able to fund this, rather than it make it one
Yeah.
capital outlay request?
We'll see where we're at, yes, because we're trying to get this deal put together so we can make presentation to some people to try to get some funding, and then we'll see exactly where we're at.
Okay, okay.
And what about the treasurer's office? We're still waiting for quotes or something on that?
Is Trent here?
In his office.
And that's they had 40,000 in here, the estimate they got on that, Julianne, was 50 grand, and I asked Trent to get another estimate, but I still would like to get the people the desk, but I don't think this remodel's going this
Yeah, I don't know
year.
if that'll work if the current setup, I think
Yeah.
they would have to do the construction in order for those new desks to work properly for them. I don't know, Trent would probably have an answer for that.
Julianne, you had marked out, might as well get this out in the open now. The truck drivers for Tom and Ralph,
Yeah.
I am for leaving those in.
Me too. To give them a raise. It's probably gonna be
Was he here, RB?
It's right there.
Oh, he's right there.
you're like a ninja.
Did you get a quote back from Classic?
Yes, it came in at 31,000. I can go print out a copy. I sent it to the treasurer's office.
So that was, and then what was, White Sands was,
52,000.
yeah.
And that's for the wall remover that we're talking about, right?
It's the remodel of the, yes.
If y'all would like a copy of that, I can go.
I don't wanna do the wall removal,
Not right now.
no.
So that didn't have, this 40,000 in here, that was strictly the remodel quote estimate. That didn't have the furniture in it.
Yes, it included the furniture.
That did include the
Yes.
furniture. I'd have to go back through and then pull and see what the furniture part was.
Will they still need the furniture without the wall removal?
Well, that's what I need, will the furniture placement that they were talking about work if we didn't do the,
I wanna say,
do you remember, Trent?
The current furniture is what's built in now. And so once that's removed, we have to infill the walls and kind of reconfigure some stuff.
If we brought in new furniture?
Yeah, we bring in new furniture.
I believe for both of the desks with everything, it's around 5,000, 5,200, something like that. For the furniture, and that includes chair, monitor mounts, and footrests, adjustable footrests.
But Trent, you're saying now that's not 40, it's 31 for the wall removal and the new furniture?
No, just the construction.
Just the wall.
Oh, just the, okay, so we're back up to, looking at almost 40, yeah.
Yeah, because that 31's not with tax, so we have to add MMGRT to that, so I assume that's probably roughly $4,000 or $5,000 worth of tax.
Well, it won't be that much, on 31,000? No. I mean, it'd be some, but it won't be that much. I don't know, 2,500?
It's actually, from the amounts that they had in their request, $5,252 total for both of them,
For,
for the workstation and everything.
okay,
So, yeah. 52.
So that, what does that bring that up to then?
Yeah.
like around 38,000
That's
for the
what I-
wall
yeah.
removal, plus the furniture. So 38 grand plus another 5 for furniture.
Or 9250 for just the desks and chairs and computers and monitors.
For what? Sorry.
If you eliminate the wall,
Uh-huh.
then it's just 9250.
But I don't know if they need that furniture if they don't remove the wall. Because Trent said that was the furniture to replace what they're taking out when they do it, so I don't,
Like Trent said, if furniture wouldn't work unless you do the remodel.
right.
So just scratch through that whole thing?
Yep, I said just the 4,000 for the new computers and monitors.
So if we jump back up to the IT deal, we got some big numbers up here. Julianne, your email you sent yesterday was a little startling. How did we get that far out of whack without,
Things are more expensive. Everybody's having to pay a lot more for literally everything in each department. Once again, though, this is the interim budget, and I'm working off of revenue numbers from March because I don't have April's figures yet. I won't get that until probably maybe today, maybe tomorrow. So I'm extrapolating from March. It always looks better at the final budget, but we have to balance the budget. And even though we never actually use money from the hold harmless gross receipts tax revenue funds, I have to use it as like a transfer, literally just to balance the budget so that we don't have any funds that are in the negative. The other thing that's difficult is the general fund is required to have a 3-month reserve of total expenditures that are budgeted for the year. And that's over $5 million right now this year. We can't really use that money. It's gotta stay there, just budgeted for, and it just sits there. But in a way, it's good because it forces us to keep that money in the general fund. The road department, separate fund, but they also have a reserve. For some reason, the counties have a reserve for the road department, cities do not. The county has a 3-month reserve for the general fund, city only has a 1-month reserve. I don't really understand why that is, but that's the way the state statute is. So it just concerns me that it seems like the general fund is having to, subsidize other departments quite heavily because they just don't make enough money to support themselves. And no offense to Nina, but the detention center is the largest one. It's almost $8 million this year just to balance the budget. But that includes all of those vacancies that she has. Whether or not she's actually gonna fill all of them, I believe there's a total of like 26 vacancies or so. Actually, maybe a little more than that. There's a little more than that. 20 of them alone are just the detention
on
officers.
that note right there, I thought I checked with Kathy this morning and she said it was only 18 or 19. How many vacancies do you have?
Including all staff, I don't have the numbers, But line
I
staff,
actually do have it here.
Because I thought you were saying 20 and then,
30, actually 30, but that includes a part-time, so 29. And this was just as of, I don't know, earlier this week, I guess. There's a detention captain, 6 detention sergeants, 2 detention corporals, 20 detention officers, but that also includes like the transport and
whatever time,
Yeah.
and,
right, that's right. And then there's 1 part-time. But that's, I mean, salaries and benefits are the largest portion of all of our budget. And the other thing to consider is that, health insurance went up this past January. The state is talking about potentially increasing it. I want to say Cassie mentioned 10 to 15% possibly again in July. I don't have those numbers. I didn't budget for it because I don't know yet. But also the para has gone up 0.5% for everyone, for the employee portion and the employer portion as of July 1st, and that's going to continue through 2026 for sure. There'll be another 0.5% increase. I don't know what'll happen after that point. So, that just, it just costs more for everything. And then with the vacancies, because we don't know who's going to come in, I have to budget for full family health care. A lot of times that's not used, and they end up having, quite a lot of extra money sitting in their budget that is not used, but we have to have it there just in case, so.
I just saw the personnel for,
I know we're kind of bouncing all over
Is
the
that
place.
what you're looking for, Stephanie?
I'm
Yeah.
still on capital outlay.
where am I,
Oh, yeah.
where am I?
It's on
Yeah,
the-
we kinda got,
your new
There we
item.
go.
Yeah, there you go.
Last
Kinda got off
budget
track.
meeting, we talked about the rifle range. And it was at 129, let me see which copy I'm looking at. Yeah,
I'm sorry, on which?
the rifle range for the capital outlay. And now it says 24. So,
Yes, so the vehicles were reduced from 90,000 down to 10,000 to see if they could find something, if Tom could help find something from DRMO. The canopy was not approved, but the side-by-side was, so the total is now 24,000.
okay, got it.
Okay, so maybe we should start at the beginning of the capital outlay again and go back through and see what we can, because right now we're jumping all over the place. And
I mean,
You wanna do
I'm
that?
probably more concerned, I just wanted to know more about the items that were highlighted in yellow. You had already approved all the previous ones. At this point, I don't know that we need to make any additional cuts other than the ones that I mentioned in my email that I told you to consider. Once we get even later into May, so towards the end of May, we're gonna have another special meeting just to approve the interim budget. And I'll have some updated numbers in because I'll have April revenue. And then any other changes that are made today will also be included in there. So we can see how things look at that point. Then there's also the final budget. We can still make additional changes up through that. That's not even submitted until the end of July. So we've got a couple more months to really look at things and see if we potentially need to cut things. I would hate to cut things now after you had previously approved them for departments. So I would say consider those other items that we hadn't gotten to before. And then over the next couple months, we can take a closer look and I can make suggestions if we need to cut anything else.
Okay, so you wanna work on your highlighted areas and then,
Yes.
okay. So, back to the start of the capital outlay, let's just go through it by order so we don't get jumping around.
Sure.
We've cut at the treasurer's deal on the remodel,
Right.
right?
Right,
The 2 portable buildings at the animal shelter.
right.
So with that highlight, what is that? Brought us down to,
That's 300,000 less.
Yeah. And the other thing is on page 3, you can see that from the previous meetings, the original amount requested was like 3.5 million, and you cut 1.5 million of that, and now we're cutting a little bit more, so that also helps. So the total approved amount is gonna be less than 2 million at this point, which that does help.
Okay. And then off of the new hire list, the rifle range, you've got omitted the range safety officer, the animal shelter assistants, both for chaparral.
So then we need to remove those 2 chaparrals, because that was put in there
For the time
for the
being,
building.
since, yeah.
For the building,
Until
so we
that
don't
project
need
is
those.
Right.
Okay.
And then the other safety officer for the range. And then we're leaving the what we got, 5 truck drivers.
We have 4 at the convenience center, and how many do we have with you, Tom?
Vacancies?
No, truck, or we're just talking about new hires?
Well,
Well,
this is the salary increase I think we're talking about.
yes.
Oh.
So what you got, yeah, you got 4 truck drivers vacant, right, Tom?
Total is 6.
Total what?
Total of 6 vacancies between down here and Pinyon.
On here, you just got 4, but, and then Ralph, you just got 1?
No, I got 4 truck drivers now,
Oh, good.
so I'm good.
Hey, Gerald,
Okay.
the reason the number went back up is I had one quit the other day.
All right, but we decided we were gonna do on their pay request, on their salary raises
Yeah,
on the truck drivers.
yes.
Yes, for the road department and the solid waste.
Right.
Yes, and then also, in their starting wages are $16 right now. Do we want to increase starting as well?
Where's that at?
I just know that, I don't know where it's at, I've read it. It's here somewhere. Right, is it $16 and something, it was like
We're
16?
16 starting now, and the request was to bring it up to 18 for the start.
Okay,
I thought we approved that last year.
We approved to
No,
bring it up
brought
to
it up to
16
16.
last year.
We had it up to 16.
yes. I don't know, bringing them up to 18 when you already have employees that will be at 18.
Most of my drivers now are at 19 plus.
Okay, okay,
There won't be any that get leapfrogged over.
okay,
So any new drivers you get, what we're starting to do here is approve them at 18 an hour.
Correct.
yeah.
I believe
I have
there's,
one that's
Yeah.
just started, so.
Yeah.
He's still at 16.
But with this deal we're doing right now, they'll bring them all up to a minimum of 18.
Yes. And then, and so both the convenience center and the road shop, I'd like to begin them at 18 as well.
I agree.
Okay.
And I'm back on new hire requests. Did we finish that?
Well, I'm still trying to figure out where,
I think so, everything else is
I'm
marked
kind
out.
of shuffling papers this morning.
We've got a lot to shuffle.
So we have marked on emergency services, deputy chief is marked out.
right, that was not, from my understanding, that was not approved.
Okay.
And you approved 1 trainer for them
Okay.
instead of the 3.
Okay. And I agree.
And then the mechanic for the road shop, we're able to actually hire that position this year by taking one of the operator vacancies and transferring that to the mechanic.
Okay.
So that one is taken off of there as well.
I agree with the assistant county attorney.
Me too,
Yes.
definitely.
So,
I agree with the accounting technician.
Yes,
you starting at the beginning again?
Yep.
Okay.
How many people do you have working at the rifle
You got
range?
the same thing?
I have
Yeah.
8 part-timers
Okay.
and 2
yeah,
full-timers.
is it okay to?
And this
take on
request
the
for the
technician?
safety officer is
And then
part-time
that
or
next
this
one's
full-time?
marked out.
Oh,
So
okay.
what I'm looking for is
Trainer,
a
yes,
chief
one,
range
and
safety
then the other
officer,
two, no.
to another
so
full-time
this one's-
managerial
That's a good
position,
one.
and that's a
And
chief
then
range
this
safety
one.
officer.
Assistant, training is a yes. And one trainer, this one right here is yes.
And then those are Xed out. What about these below the
We
animals?
haven't talked about that one, those yet.
Okay.
And right now, the animal shelter has our director and one employee and the rest are volunteers. Is that the way?
So right now they have, I don't think I put that. They have the full-time director, a full-time assistant, and then they have, I believe, 5 or 6 part-time. I think they're vacant, one of the part-time is vacant, and then you all had approved previously to hire an additional full-time, so then there would be 3 full-time, and then whatever, 5, 6, whatever it is, part-timers. They're just woefully understaffed, and it's difficult with so many animals coming in. And having at least 3 full-time would make it much easier for them to have someone who can stay up at the counter and help people while the others are, working in the back, doing whatever. But as far as I understood, you had approved that previously for the additional full-time and additional part-time for them.
How about if we just try it with one more full-time and not add another part-time? Is that
Yeah. You good with that?
Yeah, you're gonna eliminate the part-time and
Uh-huh.
leave the
Leave the
full-time?
full-time.
These are all the salary raises that are coming up next that they've requested. Is that what I'm reading right?
Yeah.
This kind of may sound a little mean, but I'm still kind of not for all the raises, except for the truck drivers, which we have to keep them to operate. After the $3 an hour last year increase that they all got.
I agree with that, especially with us trying to rein in this budget a little bit.
Yeah, and I thought that's what we had previously agreed on also. So that means the first line item, recording and filing, 7% all employees is a no, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then second one, 3 deputy clerks would be a no. Bureau of Elections, all employees is a no. Property assessments, all employees is a no.
What is that 16, is that when they got that certificate or something?
No, that's separate. There, I believe, are two, and you guys, you both did, or you all did approve that previously. When they receive their certification pay, when they pass the tests, by state statute, they're allowed to receive an increase.
Right, so
and
they
they're-
already got that.
Yeah, that's
They're
already been
getting that.
included in all the salaries.
Okay, all
By
right.
us saying
So this
no,
1,600 is completely separate, it's just,
Okay,
I don't know where James came up with that number
Okay.
from, but that's what he chose to request.
Okay,
emergency services, that means no?
mhm,
Rifle range, various amounts, no?
Mm-hmm.
Property valuation, all employees, no?
Yep.
Road department,
That's already,
yes.
that one's already out. First
Road
one.
department, various amounts, what is that?
So there were some additional employees, based upon merit, that Tom had requested particular amounts for them. It should be in your book that was handed out previously, if you go to the road department. And that should be on page 183 of the department request book. Actually, it's gonna be on page 184 where he's requesting that.
I see.
Is that what these various raises, that amount?
Yeah, because it's differing amounts for everyone. I just said various amounts, but I factored in, there was like a 7% for one, 10% for the others. One was a increase to 19, but that individual has actually termed now, so that has been taken off. It's mostly 10% for everyone except for one individual at 7. And you can see the total amount of the increase for all of those would be 41,584.
So that's a no?
I think we gotta kind of be fair, I mean,
Yeah. Because they're already at 19 an hour.
So, two, and I'll just say, I'll talk about two of them there. One of them is a gentleman, maybe we can start getting you guys on the mic. Either we can hang it back there and pass it around, or just to make the clerk's job easier. Good morning, Commissioners. Tom Porter, Otero County Road Department. So I'll use two of them that are in there. One of them is my foreman that I hired on 2 years ago, and he has gone way above and beyond call this last year. I mean, he's grabbed a job and ran with it. The other one is a gentleman, he is a truck driver operator. One of my district guys has been out for almost 6 months, and he's taken over his position. So basically, he's taken on that much more responsibility.
Tom, what you gotta explain to him is, we're at $10 million.
I understand. I really do. And, you know, last year you said on the raises, and I'm not pleading for this, last year you said on the raises, let's do this on merit, so. I took the handful of employees that I was, in my opinion, went above and beyond this year.
And we appreciate that, but we gotta figure out how to get back down into some kind of control here.
I mean, I wouldn't go with 10%, but I would consider it like 3% on merit-based.
If you do one, you gotta do them all.
I don't agree, I think merit-based is how you do it.
Because you go over there to the assessor's office, and every time they get a little different certification, then that's a merit raise, that's something,
But that's automatic. That's,
yeah. But that, I mean, that's no different than the guys that are going above and beyond at Ralph's deal too. I wish I could give everybody, but like I say, we've given raises every year since I've been in this deal. And somewhere it's gotta stop a little bit or slow down to catch up with the budget. Or the three of us are gonna put a target on us and we have to raise taxes to pay for it.
What is your foreman making an hour now?
Do you know what our foreman is making on?
Sorry, what you want?
They're asking what the foreman is making per hour.
I don't have that in front of me. Can you get into Tyler? You may not, I don't know, you should have access to it.
I'm sure I do, I just don't know. And you need the Otero cup?
Oh, yes. Chris and, just him?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
While she's looking for that, healthcare services, when she was in here doing her presentation, she was talking about the funds that are already allocated for her wages that are pretty much unused. So do we want to consider that unused money for the purposes of salary to give her a raise?
Run that by me again?
56,530 annually.
So he's at 27 an hour.
Yes, 27 and .1779.
That's what your foreman makes?
So a 10% would be 62,183.
If we cut the number of the salaries out of the detention that we're not filling, I mean, that'll give us quite a bit of money to save. I just feel if we give any raises, we're gonna have to go back through all the departments and do the merit raise thing. I think with the truck drivers, that's definitely, we need to do that or we're not gonna have truck drivers. But, I mean, I would love to give everybody a raise and I hate not to, but we're gonna have to do something. I mean, we're looking at $10 million that we're trying to come up with. That's a lot of money.
I say 3% for the foreman, not 10.
Then you're gonna go back through all the other departments and see who they wanna give merit raises to.
Well, they're already making above that.
But
I
we,
mean, I understand the importance of administration and that kind of work and all that kind of stuff, but I also see the back-breaking work that is required, and so it needs to be equal.
cause we haven't gave any raises through the clerks all the way through until you're gonna do now?
We did last year.
We gave everybody a raise last
Right,
year.
Right.
But that's what I'm saying right now, we're saying no to all these others, and then we're coming down to this one person?
One position. Yeah, and I'm okay, 27 is okay too. I don't want to do the 10% for sure. We can leave it. I'm good with that.
So then what you're gonna have to figure out then with the road shop, if you're gonna go back and give raises, then you're gonna have to get rid of some of these toys that he's asked for then. Cause it's ridiculous. You can't do it. You can do one or the other. You gotta have dump trucks to take care of the roads. Those dump trucks were, what were they?
So we,
$335,000 plus the 10-yard box is $350,000.
so we approved the 2.5, is it 2 5-yard dump trucks or is it 2.5-yard
It
dump
was
trucks?
2 5-yard
Two
dump
year-
trucks,
okay.
but most of that funding came from capital outlay last year. We needed I think it was
This additional 65,000 needed to
just
cover the remaining
65,000
costs.
to cover the increase in cost.
So it's not 265, it's just 65?
65,000, right.
Okay,
Then the 10-yard dump truck, that one we're putting on ICIP.
yes.
The John Deere 772G, we're gonna lease that, that'll be approximately 90,000 a year. And then the cat roller, we're looking at that for next year. So the only things on there that were approved is 65,000 for those 5-yard dump trucks, 10-yard salt box for 18,000, and then the cat 926 loader for 200,000.
Okay, that's what I have.
So what I got in here too on the equipment was, I got two different numbers. One of them is 865,000. And that's a total what we give him for the equipment. So if we're gonna go back and give raises, then we're gonna have to take some out somewhere else.
I don't, where's the 865?
On the total of,
You're talking about that.
you got 265,000 each for the 2 5-yarders.
No,
You
that's
got-
only,
That's just 65,000.
right. That changed because we received legislative funding for most of it, and we just need to cover the remaining 65,000.
I think it's just these three that were,
So where did,
So 300,
the other is the cap from last year? The other money for the rest of the dump truck?
Yeah, it was from ICIP capital outlay last year that we put in for, we received the grant, the funding for that through the state. And with cost increases, we needed an additional 65,000 for 2 trucks.
so I've got 373,000 in their request.
Right, if you include the 90,000 for the lease.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So that's not 800.
Oops.
did you not read the sign? By the thing?
I think you hung that sign, sir.
Oops.
And we could do this like we've done before and wait till the very end and then make a decision if we're gonna do any.
Well-
Commissioner, if I may, we've gotten to a point with this equipment, if it's equipment versus the raises, we're gonna have to go with the equipment this year. I mean, we have no choice. That loader that I was telling you was generating metal in the oil yesterday. It's a good thing we had 2 of them down in Chaparral. We had to drag that one back to get it on a trailer because it went down, so hopefully it's something minor, but not sure.
So I'm just gonna leave that open on my notes. It's definitely not gonna be, I don't want the 49,000, but I'm gonna leave it open. And then going back to the healthcare services, when she presented, she said that this funding is allocated by the state. Julianne, make sure I have this right. She said it was allocated by the state for her to have this much in salaries.
Well, it's in administrative costs, or
And she-
administrative expenses, it's a certain percentage of her overall budget. for the
And there's
year.
carryover from that funding, that department, every single year, and that's why she was requesting a raise, right?
I believe so. The other thing to, just to let you know, the Department of Labor recently approved a rule for full-time exempt employees. The minimum amount of salary is going up. Actually, it's going up a little bit in July 1st, but it doesn't affect anyone. January 1st, it's going up to, let's see, 58,000, what here? It's going up to $58,656 per year. We have 4 individuals who will be affected by that, that will have to receive an increase as of January 1st. She is one of them. Her increase won't be that much. But there are 3 others that and I've already added that into the budget. So she will be receiving a little bit of an increase, approximately, let's see, what was hers? Approximately like about $400 or so, I believe. It's not that much, but it's something.
That fund, that pot of money, there's certain things that cannot be used for. One of those is for wages of the people working in that section, but it's also can be used for indigent health care, and we're paying medical bills for prisoners at the detention center, and Amber and I disagree about whether this pot of money can be used for that, and we're working our way through that, talking with the state and the hospital, trying to figure out where Medicaid begins and ends. But it is possible that, depending on how this all works out, some of that money may be used for paying for indigent health care at the prison. But that would use a lot of it. But it's still maybe possible to designate some of that towards salary too. So we just don't have it figured out yet. But I think there's $1 million something in it right now that just accrued each year because it hasn't been spent.
So from what Julianne says, they're automatically gonna get a raise, I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
Just leaving it like that in January, getting theirs and seeing where it sits next year,
yep,
okay?
you agree with that?
Yeah. So after our meeting with the insurance people, how much is that was there gonna be an increase in this year?
Probably,
Better figure, I mean,
I know, it's gonna be, we just had Taylor Horse was at our meeting at the end.
Yeah.
And they were talking about the insurance increases and how we got hit with that big whopping amount. He said that,
So that, I think, is still on hold, isn't it, RB, from the prior years, the insurance that GSD had billed all of the counties and municipalities for. And we were told essentially by Grace Phillips not to pay it. So there was, I believe, a lawsuit. I'm not sure where that is sitting right now, but I do have it budgeted for next year because I'm guessing they're probably not going to ask for that payment between now and the end of June. But I do have that budgeted for, it's like $502,000.
that's a chunk. And I know some counties were opting to pay it in, they were giving them like 3 years to pay. You don't have to pay it all at once.
I haven't heard that.
We talked about it this
okay.
weekend, so.
But those costs are going to go up. Besides that bill, they have to start raising those rates so that they're not insolvent.
Right.
So that is going to affect us too.
So the last line item, solid waste, $1 an hour for the transfer station attendant. Gonna say no on that one?
For now, yeah.
So the only one that I have pending for later is road department.
I'm sorry, was that a no for the transfer station, Tim?
Yes.
And then for road department and healthcare services, we're just gonna leave those open for now?
We said no for healthcare.
Okay.
And right now, that's a no on the various.
Julianne.
Road department.
Do the, so you highlighted a 10 million deficit or
What's that?
that were, 10
It's-
millions that were needing pulled
So,
from
I mean,
the,
even last year, it was like
that
seven
gonna
and
be
a
Is
half.
that the one you're holding?
we pulled?
That we
various?
pulled,
But it's
just
not
as,
that
we set it
amount.
up as a transfer only to balance the budget, we
Sure.
have not touched 1 cent of it. We probably won't need to touch 1 cent of this 10 million either, but I
Not
have to
saying no
balance
yet,
the
but
budget, and if I didn't do a
have a
transfer,
pending.
set up a transfer, a budgeted transfer between the hold harmless gross receipts tax revenue fund and the general fund would be in a deficit
Okay.
of about $9 million. So in order for the general fund to have a little bit additional other than, 9 million in the hole, I pulled 10 million from those two funds.
Okay.
And that's literally just to balance the budget. We likely will not need it. But
So we're not pulling down the general fund, or we haven't yet, like, cause you said last year, we did this with like 7.5 million.
right, yes, yeah.
So I bring that all up to say kind of where you're cutting and dicing is small change, like looking at the big picture, so.
It's
Just,
small
yeah, I was
change,
trying- I
but
was-
you gotta start somewhere.
You do, but I was looking where the big chunks are and where, what Julianne highlighted. I was curious if it even added up to 10 million.
No,
No.
it won't. It won't. We won't get to that $10 million figure. I just don't think it's possible. Unless we started cutting services or, 1.5 million alone is community services, but I don't think you wanna cut all of that. Salaries and benefits, that's the largest cost, always. People are important. You need to be able to pay people enough to keep them in their jobs. Right now, our salary and benefits total is like almost $26 million across all departments. So that's a tough place to cut. The only thing you could do with salaries and benefits as far as cutting would be to like potentially temporarily at least not fund vacancies or a portion of vacancies. Because that's a big chunk of money that just sits there and there's nothing we can do with it really.
And we decided to cut 10 of the detention centers.
That was
right?
my suggestion.
Okay.
So,
That accounts for 715,000.
yes,
And then the 260,000 came out from getting rid of those two portables, so that's
That's almost-
9.75.
yeah, almost $1 million right there.
Or, yeah, almost $1 million, yeah.
Well, I agree with cutting that down to 10. Do you, for the, that'll be a
The
little
thing is,
more
if we get to the
realistic.
point where we really need to hire them, we can always do budget adjustments at a later date to add them in.
Okay,
But just for the purpose of balancing the budget at this point, it helps the general fund. Because, like I said, it's almost $8 million that the general fund is subsidizing just to detention alone. And I don't know if I don't think there's really any other revenue streams for detention that could be added. Other
Big
than
sales.
potentially, I don't know if there's grants that could help cover some operating costs or hiring costs. Like, for example, the sheriff's office was able to get a federal grant for hiring cops, and that was almost $1 million grant. It's $744,000 grant, and then $238,000 that is our match. So that's something that helps tremendously because then the county isn't having to fund those positions, at least initially.
right.
So that does help.
looking at the Otero County vacancies, the solid waste transfer station attendant is starting at $14.83 an hour. And vegetation specialist for the road department is $14.83 an hour.
Well, I'm a little confused on the detention. Let's back up there just a minute. You got 20 detention officers vacancies. 1 part-time officer vacancy. 2 detention corporal vacancies. 6 detention sergeant vacancies. 1 captain vacancy. There's There's 10 more positions right there. When one of them is $600,000.
Yep.
One of those, the 6 sergeants.
So you're saying you want to cut 10 of the detention officers and maybe 3 of the sergeants?
She's like, great.
So the corporal positions and the sergeant positions, they're officers that are already working. So they would just get an increase based, I think a couple budgets ago, they approved when Ms. Barella was still director. So these positions are already officers, they would just increase $1.50 more an hour for sergeant and $1.25 more for a corporal position. Because we were so short-staffed, now that we're getting staffed when these positions open, so it wouldn't be the full amount of a whole sergeant.
So,
So that's my mistake then, because I was considering them to be 6 additional,
No,
like,
they're
complete
already
vacancies.
existent.
Okay.
These
okay.
positions
Okay.
already existent, if they get promoted, the sergeants would make $1.50 more an hour, and a corporal would make $1.25 more an hour.
okay, so why are these in here for vacancies then?
That, because I said that was my mistake. I thought that we actually had 6 vacancies. These are actually just promotions from what she just said, to corporal and to sergeant. It's for detention officers that we already have, and they can, I don't know if they have to do a test or something, that they have to request to be promoted to corporal or sergeant. But I was considering that these were actually just complete full vacancies, so.
So those 9
So this is actually
positions
not
need to
correct.
go
It's-
away and be recalculated
Yeah,
in for
I'll
what
have to
the real
recalculate
cost
that.
Okay.
So
really
you said
is?
it's,
That'll help.
Yes, that helps a
It'll be a
lot.
lot
That'll
less.
help.
It's
Okay.
just they're already existent, so it's not actual
sorry,
vacant.
Nina, to
Okay.
corporal, it's $1 an hour?
$1.25.
$1.25, and then to sergeant on top of that, it'd be $1.50 on top of that, okay.
And then the 10 that's highlighted in the yellow, that says 20 that we're making to 10, those are actual vacancies.
I have 12 right now.
This says there's 20 in just detention officers.
No, I have 9, I wrote it, well, let's see.
No, you're fine, you're
Because
fine.
that's the information that
9
I thought you gave me.
transport and 3 full-time, so it's 12. And then I have a corporal classification and a special management.
I think the whole detention thing needs to be refigured then.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I'm confused. So I marked these out right here, and then we said this, and then so I made that figure there.
Right,
So, but this is not actual.
no, now she's saying she only has 12 there.
12
And then
vacancies.
these are raises, these aren't.
Right.
So
I
this is
marked
gonna be way different,
those out,
yeah.
and then, so this one is the same thing as this.
But those in the white are still gonna be a number.
Right, but these are gonna go away.
No, they're gonna be a number
It'll
added on.
just be
It's just
different.
It could be $1 an hour,
Yeah.
but it's gotta be recalculated back into what it
Actual
is.
Salaries.
Right.
not just vacancies.
Right, yeah, yeah,
That's not gonna be a total blank, but it's gonna be better than what that shows.
yeah.
Okay.
It
Well,
won't,
I've-
it
yeah.
won't be under vacancies anymore, it'll be under raises, I
Right.
would think, so it won't even be on this page.
Okay,
So I'm gonna just put a note that they're gonna refigure this, because that's
Okay.
Well,
gonna
not
be way
including the
different.
captain, it'd be 13. And then if I include the special management and
So then this number's not accurate.
No, she's like 17.
Well, yeah, 27.
Right.
So 27 plus 17.
So do we need,
Whatever she needs, I'll help her. I'll bring my roster and figure this out.
do we need to redo that detention deal then, Julianne?
Yeah, I'll need to do it.
And then look at it for,
Yeah, it's gonna be
okay.
less than I have, so that's good
It's
to
good,
know.
yeah. It's good. Less is good.
Okay,
Okay.
so the two positions for vacants for $14.83, I think we need to get them up a little bit so that we can fill those vacancies. Even $16 for start.
What are you talking about?
The solid waste and loss line item for $14.83.
Oh.
And the road department for vegetation specialist.
Well, let's get down there first.
Okay, I'm already down there.
Tap the brakes, Chica. Tap the brakes.
You're gonna have to wait for the rest of us to get there. So if, we need to back up a little bit. What did we decide on? Because we skipped the sheriff department, we skipped the Bureau of Elections, and the facility of maintenance.
We just need to start from the top.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Eric in here?
And these vacancies is not creating a vacancy, right? This
Right,
is-
these are positions that already exist, they're just currently vacant. Like I said, the only ones really that's inaccurate then is detention, I'll need to recalculate that. I'll work with Nina on that.
So most of them we would not want to cut or take
Yeah.
out because the intent is, and hope is that we get someone hired. Just detention, if there were 20 vacancies, the likelihood of actually hiring 20 in a year is none, so.
Right.
But the rest of these, maybe we can fill them.
In the road department, I'm
And so
skipping ahead.
all the vacancies are currently budgeted.
Okay.
And that's why if we were to take, like, for example, reducing detention is going to help the budget.
Okay.
So you're recommending leaving the facility maintenance, the election clerk, the two sheriff deals, and the animal shelter person, leave all that the way it is, and,
Yes,
okay,
those are positions that were previously filled and they're just currently vacant.
okay. Now we can go down the road department. You're gonna do the same thing there then?
Is that $14.83 to start?
Well, here we are back to that one
I
again.
know, but I mean, how are we gonna fill that position when they can just go across the street and work for $17.50 to start?
Tom, where did Tom go? He left?
He had enough.
I knew you were gonna call him.
Yeah. Peace out.
I thought we brought everybody out there up to 16 an hour, starting at the road shop.
I think they were initially last year, I can look, we're at,
Last year, I believe we bumped the transfer station attendants up to the same as what the, like laborers / vegetation specialists, up to the $14.83 an hour.
right,
For starting, that is.
Yeah, but those are two different people. One's in Tom's shop and one's in Ralph's shop.
Yeah, so I think last year we bumped, for Ralph's department, the transfer station attendants starting up to $14.83 because I believe it was less. And then we bumped the truck drivers up to 16. And I don't know if the state of New Mexico has any plans. I mean, I believe they do, I just don't know exactly when it's gonna go into effect for minimum wage to potentially go up to $15 an hour. Cassie might have more information on that.
Just got him a drink.
coffee.
Not yet. It was a handout.
And you didn't bring any for us?
Am I confused? I thought we brought everybody entry level into your shop to 16 an hour.
CDL. Vegetation specialists are non-CDL holders. I have 2 vegetation specialists, 2 laborers, and those 4 employees are non-CDL.
And I'm just talking about the vacancy, so that we can try and fill it.
So the 1 vegetation vacancy I have right now, I termed a gentleman out a couple of weeks ago that was on probation. So that's why that vacancy is there.
Termed him out,
Lady mom, I do.
okay.
What are your other 2 vegetation guys?
Well, there's one other vegetation guy, and I'm not exactly sure what dollar figure he's at right now.
So the current vacancies that I have for you, because we had taken 1 operator and moved that to your mechanic. So I mean, the mechanic is currently vacant. The 1 vegetation specialist, and then I had 4 other operators, operator 2, I guess, that are.
What is the other vegetation specialist?
Starting at,
No, making right now.
I don't know.
He would have gotten that $3 raise, so it's gonna kind of
That's
skew it.
Southwick, you said? Who is it?
No, that would be,
Is that Patrick?
Charles.
Okay.
1 second.
Okay.
Patrick is vegetation, but he's also my, parts and inventory and a CDL holder, so he's in a different bracket altogether.
Was this other guy gonna be a multi-use guy too?
No,
The other one will be a permanent weed guy?
he's permanent vegetation. There's 2 of them, and like right now, we're out 1. Charles just grown.
That thing with you make those higher
17
level,
an
that's
hour.
why I wanna find out what the other guy makes, and make it more than what he makes, then you're gonna be giving that guy a raise.
So we just said 1750.
1783, so that's with a $3 raise, because it was 1483 to
So we
start,
would-
and then he received a $3 raise, so he's at 1783.
Do you think starting the vegetation specialist, starting at
14.
1550 would be,
15.
would somebody come in the door?
Honestly, usually when we post that one, it's filled rather quickly. This one, like I said, we just did away with him the other day, so it just now posted last week.
I don't know, I mean, I'm just trying to make the job desirable, but we can leave it.
Pretty soon the health insurance is gonna outweigh their salary.
I mean,
I mean, that's pretty sad.
I see the benefit of working for the government, but I don't know if
You also,
people.
you have to be able to afford to, though.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I would say bump it at least up to 15 for
Okay.
both of them.
What is relevant?
Same,
It's the same.
You're at 1483
Yeah.
for your,
So we're talking about
Non-CDLs.
both positions, right?
Yeah.
Okay, bump it
Yeah,
to 15
we'll
for both.
bump both of those
For
up.
the transfer station too?
Yes,
Yes, okay.
and it's not a big,
Yeah,
but
I mean,
it's
it-
something.
15, I think psychologically sounds better than 1483.
It does.
It's
Yes.
a minimal amount to
Yes.
add to the budget, so.
You're gonna move into what,
To
15?
15 for that one, and,
Okay. Are we good with vacancies?
Good.
Commissioners, if the clerk could have a minute to explain one of the increases she asked, what she's asking for based on changes that are going to occur in the office doesn't accurately reflect how it's going to affect the budget.
Okay,
I don't remember what page we were on when we were talking about that. I'm deep.
So
And I
it's
apologize,
still
I
on the
wasn't here for
vacancies.
that.
Oh, still,
Robin, go up there, please.
still on the vacancies,
On the vacancy?
yeah.
And that's just your election clerk that we're talking
No,
about?
We're talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
We're talking about increases for the 3 employees.
Oh,
My
so it's
vacancy for the one
increases.
election clerk has already, I think, almost been filled.
Can you say that again?
The election clerk that I had the vacancy for, we've already, I think, hired. We interviewed for that yesterday. That's just a part-time position.
So I think we're talking about the 3 deputy clerks line where it says 3%.
Yes.
The other 2 requests were if everyone else got a cost of living allowance. That's not happening, so those aren't still on the table. But these 3 deputy clerks, because we know who's gonna be the next clerk based on how everything has went with who's running. So her position, she'll be
Yeah.
leaving. The person that comes in to replace her will be making significantly less. So that will reduce the overall budget of the employees, and there'll be a similar change.
For the chief deputy as well.
Okay.
And then another worker as well. So we're gonna have 3 employees out of the clerk's office, over 100 hours of people that have been in there for 30-plus years. But the 3 that'll come in, of course, we've got the elected official and the chief deputy, but then their positions that they were in at the time, whoever comes in, it's gonna be at a much lower level.
So you think that this is a kind of a balanced request?
Well,
of
it's not
the
even
4,900?
balanced, this is just just a tip in the bucket. This is just a small request, but they are at such a low level, and they do so much, and they have learned so much, and they are going to have to take over the office.
Robin, question for you. So that 3% for those 3 individuals, was that to be on top of the 7% that you requested for
The
everyone?
7% that I requested, I don't know if you realized how I requested it, was that if everybody got,
And
like
then
the COLA.
these 3 would be an additional 3%?
This is this
Okay.
is additional
Got it.
3% for merit for,
So you're asking 10% in reality.
yes, for those 3 employees. And they are at a very low.
What is their start? So when you are to fill Selena's position, what would that starting wage be?
Well, it's hard to say because she'll be the clerk and so she'll get to decide that, so I can't actually say that.
What is it now?
But it is 62 now. So it would probably be between 40 and 50. Just guessing.
That's $30 an hour.
And very well worth it with Selena, although whoever comes in will not have that experience, so,
You said 62 for her?
yes.
All right, so, and probably maybe 50 for the new person who's, doesn't have experience.
Probably
So that is 12,000 less.
already.
This 10% request is, it's not reflected on here because we thought it was 3, would be 13,865. And Monique is gonna be leaving hers too.
I don't know that for sure.
Speculation.
Lynn will be leaving hers,
Okay.
and she is making over 40,000, and so that clerk coming in will not start near that high either. So there's gonna be quite a bit of, the money that's already in the budget that will not be accounted for through the whole year.
I'm gonna stay at no, because we're paying 30 an hour. When we have CDL drivers, we're paying $18 an hour.
Well, in her longevity, she's been there for many years, all of her certifications, all of the things that by law that we're required to do to run elections, and she's exhibited a great, and I don't know about these CDL drivers, if they're just coming in new or, what their requirement is as well.
Yeah,
But I definitely will stand by my employees.
Yeah, no, they do a great job and deserve the raises, we just can't. So just looking at the balance of everything, we've just gotta try and keep our expenses down.
Right, well, no, I'm not asking for anybody to get $30 an hour. That's just what she has now,
Right.
but she'll be gone. So whoever fills her position will be
Would
getting
get 20.
significantly less.
Like 24 an hour, if they got 50.
Yeah, they're not gonna be getting that much whenever, and we don't even know when she hires. I'm not even asking for those employees, I'm asking for my 3 current ones that are at a very low,
That would be good.
amount right now. I'm just asking for their increase. I'm not asking for anything to do with $30 an hour.
So somebody walks in the door and applies for a job right now, in Selena's current position, is what? Is how much?
She's making the $30
No,
an
how
hour
much
right
is
now.
the brand-new person going to be making?
Oh, and I don't know. See, that would be up to
No, as of right
Selena.
now, let's say
As
Selena
of right
left.
now, maybe $20 an hour, $24 an hour.
20 to 24.
Yeah.
I think that's good where it's at.
I'm not asking anything about that position. I'm asking for my other 3 positions. We're just telling you about how much money's gonna be left once she leaves that position. That's all we're talking about. There's gonna be money left in the budget. That person that is replacing her will not get what she has. So there's gonna be that additional money that I would like to use to give to my other 3 employees. It doesn't have anything to do with her position.
That's in the election bureau.
Right.
You're asking for the clerk,
Yes, yes.
and the clerks are the ones that type up the minutes and do the recording.
We do all the recording and filing. We issue marriage licenses, we're the clerk to the Board of County Commission, we're the clerk to the probate judge. We do several other things as well, but they also do elections. They're also certified voting machine technicians. They also certify machines, they also do voter registration. So all of my office is cross-trained. We just have 2 departments that we're responsible for, so that's why they're separated that way. Everybody in my office does everything in my office.
So if I'm understanding this right, when Selena leaves, there's gonna be X amount of dollars, your increase, what you're asking for is not as much as what the X amount of dollars is.
She'll be leaving and also another employee will be leaving and there's gonna be a big chunk of money. The money that I'm asking for these 3 employees will not be more than what, I mean, I'm not asking to raise my budget, the money's already there.
Right.
I'm
You're
just
just wanting
asking to
to-
reallocate it. That's all I'm asking.
Trying to give Brittany a raise, huh?
I'm trying. She's doing a great job.
One other thing just to consider is that Vicky's position as commissioner, the treasurer and the clerk will all have a bit of an increase because they're the last 3 positions to move up to that 2018 amendment of state statute for elected official pay. So there will be a bit of an increase for 6 months. It's like for half the year, from January through June.
For the elected officials.
For the elected officials, for those 3 elected officials, there'll be a bit of an increase. So the amount that Selena is making now, like you said, 62, that is actually gonna go up to 75, 733.
So, right, probably if it was the-
So it's only, yeah, it's not much of an increase.
That's annual, so I think for this coming year, because it's split 6 months and 6 months, it'll be 70,794 will be her new salary, averaged out for the year.
So glad they're getting them.
The specific raise that we're discussing now looks like it would go from something like $22.21, and it would be an increase of $2.22 to $24.43.
I don't mind juggling around the budget as long as the budget doesn't,
Increase.
yes.
And I'm not asking for an increase.
So this should actually decrease it a little bit.
Well, it won't with the increases of the elected officials.
Well, but
That's
that's something separate,
Yeah.
totally separate. It has nothing to do with the employees.
Yeah, it probably will actually decrease a little.
Well, I'm okay with reallocating it if it's not gonna increase anything.
I know what we've done in the past is when there have been, when people retire or term and we hire someone new at a lesser amount, even during the year, because that budget's already available, because you budgeted for that person. We've done this for other departments where we've decided to go ahead and give an increase to either certain individuals or the entire department based upon what's remaining after that individual is left and the new person is hired. So that's something that we can do, because it's already within their budget, we can make those changes without even having to do any budget adjustments, for example. So I think that's what Robin is talking about doing. I just don't know what those figures are. I don't know exactly what a new person would start at. That's something that you have to get with Cassie to determine where you would advertise that and where we think it would actually be
And I
hired
think
at.
she leaves that up to the department head, what we want to start our employee at. When we have a position open, she asks us, okay, what do you want to start them at? So typically it's up to the department head, the elected official.
Okay.
So Julianne, this is between me and you, I don't wanna confuse nobody else, the Tularosa
Good luck
Basin
with that.
Dispatch Center,
Right.
they're 3 million something, is that figured in the 10 million
3.8 million,
over?
that's already in the budget, that's already been approved by their board, that's already in there. And their vacancies, all of that, that's already been budgeted for. So I don't think we can really do anything there unless it's approved by the board, like to cut things or change dollar amounts.
Well, I'm trying
Looking
to
at
find
the
big
amounts
numbers.
of like the vacancies, yeah, I see. That's 333,000.
So just looking at the clerk's funds, in 2022, your budget was 141,000. 2023, it went down to half of that. 2024, 148,000. And this year's proposed 198. So really, the reallocation, did you see what I'm looking at? I'm on this book on page 13.
I didn't think, but I haven't asked for anything in addition than what I've had every year. I did not ask for an additional $50,000 in that fund. Yeah, I guess maybe I'll look at it. Where did that 50,000 come from? Thank you. Okay, are you talking about,
On page 13.
13 that's equipment fee fund. That doesn't have anything to do with my clerk's fund. This money is money that's generated by my department. It has nothing to do with the general fund. It can only be spent on certain things in my department, such as equipment fees, such as vehicles. It cannot be used for salaries, and this is set by statute. So that's my third fund. Then I have 12, which is my Bureau of Elections fund, page 12, and then I have page 11, which is my recording and filing fund. So if you'll notice at the top, the elected official's salary comes out of recording and filing. And then, so I have, in recording and filing, I have 4 employees. In Bureau of Elections, I have 2. And then I have a part-time in Bureau of Elections. 11.7 it's a separate fund. It has nothing to do with the general fund. It's just my private fund or equipment for certain things that are set out by statute and not salaries.
I was just looking at the bucket and whole and reallocation of, and all this
So
moving
if you'll
around.
notice, yeah, okay, so if this amount has gone up, if you'll notice that I had put in the budget, the $100,000 last year for, two different things we had going on in the clerk's office as far as is redoing old documents and stuff. It didn't get done this year. So that money will just go right back in there. It wasn't spent this year. If you'll look at all of my funds at the end of the year, the money that goes back to the general fund or back, it's over 100,000. I mean, I don't ever spend it all. This was put in there. We tried to work with the vendors. It didn't work out, so we didn't spend it. So we put it back in there again this year. But this money in this equipment fee fund is basically all that it's for is equipment fee for maintaining our records, for equipment, office equipment in our office. That's all that is for. That doesn't have anything to do with my Bureau of Elections or my reporting and filing. And that's one thing that it's funny because I think about it every year is that you look at how much money I had in my budget, but you never see how much I gave back at the end of the year, you know?
We don't
So we
see
didn't
that.
really, yeah, no, and I don't see it either, but I know I do. And I'm sure all these other departments do as well. I'm not
That
just
was
saying
probably
me, but
me
I'm just.
before that we ever started.
This department, this equipment fee department is kind of like the fund that the assessors have. That's used for just certain things in their office that cannot be used for things that come out of the general fund.
I still really don't have a problem with her as long as her budget doesn't raise, moving the money around in-house.
And that's kind of, I guess, what's going on with the 10 million that Julianne referenced. I guess last year was like 7.5 million. And none of that was actually touched because most departments don't spend their full budget because of vacancies, retirements, and,
Things like.
yeah, you just don't end up,
vendors
you don't,
work out.
yeah, you don't end up spending it all because you don't need it or something like. I have, a lot, allotted for potential legal services and, thankfully, we haven't been sued as much as we potentially could, and that's not an invitation for anyone to do so, but,
Please.
so that money just goes back every year and never gets used.
So can we just leave those top two line items up for decision for later then? Let's just put them back in and let's see how this all washes out when we fix the detention centers and all that.
I'm okay just reallocating them and just saying, okay, since it's not gonna increase anything.
I just don't like the appearance of it because it looks like we're giving this department raises and we're denying everybody else. And I understand that we're just reallocating and not spending more, but the appearance is that we're giving them raises
Yeah.
and nobody else is.
Well, and it's done, I think like Julia said before, it's done in all departments. It's been done several times. And I think other departments realize what's going on. I mean, I've seen it, my office has seen it happen in administration. And we know because so-and-so quit, there's more money, so these people got raises. I mean, I don't think it's foreign to anybody. I don't know, but just my opinion.
I guess if you don't approve it, once those vacancies occur, there will still be some flexibility for whoever's in charge to reallocate to something like this, even if you didn't approve it, so.
And I'm okay leaving it like that too.
Yeah.
I just think that since it's not an increase, that that's the reason I'm requesting it.
Would it be better to leave it so the new person can do with it what they want?
I'm
They
saying leave
can,
it
at that
alone.
point, they can make any changes they want at
Right.
all. I mean, at this point, it's just what I'm doing for my office for this first half. When the new person comes in, they can make whatever requests or changes they want.
I just kind of feel leave it alone if the budget doesn't change. If the other departments will look at it and see if I can cut my budget or keep it the same, and if they have extra money, they can increase to their employees in there, instead of raising it every year.
I think that would be really
That's just
something
my
to
own
find
little-
out each department, how much money they give back every budget year. At the end of the budget, you know how, like we talked about, that every department gives money back every year. And it would be interesting to see, yeah, I've requested this much, but how much did I actually spend of it?
I think
With us coming up with our two big elections, our presidential elections this year, there's gonna be a lot of extra work and a lot of extra things to do. But also, after the first of the year, these employees are gonna be the one that's gonna carry the office with 3 of us gone.
You haven't stopped smiling.
Oh, sorry, did I do that? I did that out loud.
Well, I still say I'm okay with the reallocation of it since it's not gonna change the budget, and then when the new person comes in, they can,
Do whatever they want.
maneuver it around however they want.
Okay, I already
Okay.
marked it.
Okay. Good?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. Okay, I think we finished on the vacancies, didn't we?
Yes, I did.
I think we beat that horse to death.
So, we're, you better get that dog fired up. Here it comes.
This is fired up.
Yeah.
Is that what we're going to the?
Community funding, yeah. Yeah, this is gonna be,
Hard.
yeah.
There it is. I think I found it. Okay.
So I don't know how many community service people are listening today, but the request for the community services jumped up, what, $500,000?
Yeah.
So that's pretty steep. Everybody's asking for the world. So we're gonna have to go through this one.
So, I marked everybody that did a presentation, came and showed up,
Mhm.
and then didn't mark the ones that didn't show up.
But you can't do that because, I'm just giving you an example, 100% Otero wasn't here to give their deal, but they already did all their paperwork and application.
And while I hate to do it, I was gonna ask for an exception for weed because of
They gotta have that.
everything going on with that and trying to
Yeah.
get their lease.
I agree.
I don't like it, but
And I know what 100% Otero does because I
What?
pay attention to them, so I agree with that. I was just making that statement that I marked who presented and
Uh-huh.
didn't.
Yeah, I think I did too.
So you want to just go down the list?
Mm-hmm. That'd probably be the easiest, just start from the top.
So 72, 75 for 100% Otero. And I have
I don't have a problem with that.
Okay,
It's not very much money.
okay. So it's a check mark.
So
Center
that-
of Commerce, this one's gonna be tough.
Yeah. That was a big jump.
Well, that one's not as tough for me because I know what they're doing right now. And since we don't have an economic development, anything right now, they're doing a lot. So I actually would step up for them on this one. I mean, I know it's a lot more than they've ever asked for, but they're doing a lot more than they've ever done, like for all of Otero County. So,
And I don't know the future of the lodger's tax and what's gonna be happening with that, but if they were to put in the bid for the funds to be allocated for them, it's gonna be more than this request, too. So, are we okay with giving them this plus?
I am right now because I know what all they're working on and what all they're trying to do. And the lodger's tax is still such an unknown, you know? I don't know if we're gonna do it, if we're not gonna do it, and if we do it, how much money's gonna come in. And we can look at this again next year, you know? So for this year, I would say yes on this one.
For the full amount?
Yes.
So that's 59,000.
I know, it's a chunk.
I mean, I would,
I mean, they're working on getting those new apartments in for Holloman and all that stuff. And if we don't keep Holloman happy, we're in
but how do
trouble.
we, what I look at is this entire picture, we're gonna have to say and cut in places.
We will.
And how do we say who is worth 100% and who's not?
I know.
And I literally, I mean, after all those presentations last time, I mean, I was like an emotional wreck
I
because you
know.
want to give everybody's doing good things.
I know.
And I'm not against the chamber by any means. I think we should just consider a little bit less until we see the
Well, why don't we
final
just
numbers.
discuss all of them and then decide? How's that?
Okay,
Instead of, and then that way we'll kind of see where we're at.
okay.
And without advocating for one or another, there is the fact that because all the departments may not spend all their money, like this may not affect the total budget overall. And we have so many limitations with what we can do and how we can do it. And then, of course, we don't have the departments or the personnel to accomplish these things. And all of these entities are accomplishing functions that we like to see in the community. Are sometimes the best use of what we can do with this money.
And that's why I was a mess when I left home.
I know, they're all, it's tough.
I'm gonna write weed on here.
Okay, so what if we were to do a little process elimination? Like the senior programs, we know what their deal is. Most of their increase was the fuel and the food price.
Right.
And we really feel that that's an important deal to the community, isn't it?
For sure.
Absolutely.
So if we leave theirs alone,
So
down
Alamo Senior.
Gordo Senior, those are two of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you got Muscalero Elderly, is that the same thing?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's up in Mescalero, so yeah.
And then you got the Tularosa and the Sacramento. The Wheat community doesn't do any of that, right?
No, not
That's
as
just
far
a
as
community
meals and
center.
stuff, yeah.
I think Sacramento Senior Center and stuff like that, right?
So we have the Alamogordo Senior Center, Meals on Wheels, and the transportation. And it looks like they are going to be using all of their funds by the end of this year. Then you jump down to Muscalero, and they look like they're not going to use about 5,900 of their funds. So do we need to again reallocate 10,000 to them? Or should we reallocate 5,000 to them because they have only used 4,000 as of now? You see what I'm saying there?
Yeah.
So,
Well, they've used almost 6.
right, so we allocated 10.
Mhm.
Oh, this is left.
That's the actuals, that's what
Okay,
they've actually
okay.
used.
So then, even 6,500 instead of 10,000? Then,
So where are they at right now?
Right
They're
here.
at 5,900.
That's what
now.
they've spent, yeah.
You still gotta remember, you still got 3 more months
Yeah.
to go in there.
I think I would leave it at 10 because, I mean, that's a small amount and that, they do so much up there. I can't believe they haven't already spent all their money, but that's a neat program.
okay, so Muscalero, we're leaving at 10. And then we said, we know Sacramento and Muscalero, who else? Okay,
And Tularosa, so those are all staying, right?
that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that we just approved. Where's Tularosa Senior? So last year Tularosa Seniors requested 35,000 and they've only used almost 14,000. And now they're requesting 40. They actually increased to 40,000 and they haven't even used last year's.
I'm missing some papers somewhere.
This was from
That's
last-
weird, that's a one, yeah, it's kind of a one-off, because, in 22 and 23, they used, 33,000 and 30,000. So it's
That's what I
weird
was
that they've
looking at.
only used half.
And actually, these
I'm
numbers,
trying to
they
find my
probably
paper
have
where
that,
that's at.
One of the
We
new
probably
ones
paid
she
out
gave us
more
today, it's
as
probably-
of, like right now. I wasn't able to put in the current numbers. This is actually probably the numbers from the end of March. So I'm sure they've actually spent more than that. I can look it up.
Because number one, I'm just looking at the big numbers real quick. The fairgrounds has got a giant number, and I know they asked for a lot.
Bring that. I actually looked for outdoor sound systems.
I'm glad you're here.
Yes.
Can we go ahead and throw weed in there with
I
the,
wrote weed down
Okay.
here at this
say
one.
yes to weed, because they need that for that insurance, for the community center?
Yes,
So let's say yes to that.
yeah.
Throw that in with the other senior citizen centers, because that's kind of what it is.
Trent, on your evaluation of the fairgrounds, let me get to them in the book. They were asking for a kitchen. 163.
And their sound system. We have to get rid of this, 'cause we could delete
I
this,
know.
delete this.
They were asking for the kitchen, the security system, correct?
No, we're installing the security system. They asked for a sound system, the
Oh.
skid steer, and
Right.
the kitchen remodel. I
So,
think there was one other question as well.
because in my notes, like, I got no on the skid steer, the sound for the bar, okay, the steel pipe, okay, and then a question mark with your name by it on the kitchen.
Okay, so I reviewed the price that they received, and I'm still waiting on an estimate back from another source. But in their estimate, they did not include prevailing wages. It's actually specifically excluded. So the 200,000 puts us into prevailing wages, so you're gonna be slightly higher than what their estimate is, probably by at least 25%.
25%?
Prevailing
Another
wages
50,000
makes
on that?
prevailing wages makes a significant difference.
So is that a necessity? Is that is their kitchen shut down if they don't do that?
No, it's not shut down, it does need work, it's very, very dated. I was in there just yesterday, and some of their doors that open up, one of them, the wind has blown off, well, it's rotted so much, I don't think there's any putting it back on there. So that's a matter of not being able to close up the building without some repair to it now. The roof's in pretty bad shape. I know Eric with
We got that in Eric's
facilities
part.
put wanting to do a coating on it, but when looking at the metal, it needs some additional work than just a coating. I know he was adding some extra trim, but the metal is actually coming loose. I'm pretty surprised with all the wind we've had, it hasn't done any damage to it. It's not in real great shape. The swamp coolers that are on the roof have leaked for so long that on the underside, some of the decking actually needs replaced as well. There's no insulation in the building, so in the summer when it's hot in there, that's one of their concerns is the heat. They've tried portable air units and stuff, and it just doesn't cut it. But the building's not insulated. Just adding insulation, which was in that price quote, would help some on the cooling. And they are proposing to replace the swamp coolers that are up there that are completely, they're rotted out where they're not even usable anymore.
Are we talking about on the Wade building, the exhibit building?
No, this
No,
is
the
the
snack bar at the
concessions
rodeo.
building.
Oh,
over by the
okay.
rodeo arena. And what they're wanting to do is actually very minimal. It's just the building has not had attention in a long time and it just needs to work.
Okay, so, it's coming back to me now. I'm thinking it was the kitchen in the Wade building.
Yeah.
This is the kitchen at the
At the
arena.
rodeo arena, yeah. When we get those good hamburgers.
You know, the floors are in pretty bad shape. What we proposed is to remove the VCT tile and just sand, grind, and seal the concrete. That way it's easier to keep. You don't have to worry about in the future replacing the floor again. A lot of the cabinetry in there is just falling apart, really needs to be replaced, and it's proposed to replace it with stainless steel countertops and stuff like that.
So this 200,000 is not even enough to get started with.
I think we're looking more in the 230 range with prevailing wages.
330?
No, 230.
But this 200, okay, say that what they're asking for, that has putting insulation in it, that's redoing the roof, it's redoing the kitchen, I mean, that's the whole complete redo of that
Yes,
building.
Complete redo of
It sounds like it needs it,
it. It
So if you
definitely
go
does.
to 330,
230.
I don't know quite know the age of that building, but it's pretty much original.
and then don't do the skid steer and the steel pipe for the extra port stalls. The sound system, I thought that was a security system.
No, sound system.
It's-
And-
Yeah, for the-
And I actually found some outdoors arena sound systems for about $6,000. I meant to bring that.
But this is in the sale barn part, isn't it? Not the arena.
The sale barn, that's what
Yeah,
I meant,
yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I found some outdoor sound systems and, look at the reviews and all the feedback and everything. I don't think we can spend $14,000 on another one.
So what do you feel about scratching the skid steer and scratching the pipe for the extra deal this year? Being that right, those two right there won't even cover the additional 30,000.
I already had
Not the
no-
skid steer, I'm
Yeah.
talking about if we did away with the sound system and the pipe.
And I'm looking to have that second price back sometime midweek next week. They're still working on it, trying to get a lot of that priced out, take some time, but they're actively working on it.
I thought we said no on the skidster last time we talked.
We did, yeah.
But it still come in as on their deal as 309,000, didn't it? Where am I at?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's still in the budget, even though we said no. So that's why I'm trying to get this number to where it really is.
And I can't remember what they said, the need for the horse stalls.
Do what?
I can't, oh, I remember now. So the need for the $12,000 for the steel pipe and the 10 for the additional horse stalls were for the ones that are like overnight emergency stays and all that. I remember now.
yeah, like
Okay.
emergency evacuations
Yes.
and that kind of stuff.
Okay. But we kinda
Really not a bad thing.
need that.
Well, let me tell you how the other ones went down. The rodeo part of that paid for them, not the county. The rodeo used to, if Dean was here, he could tell you, they used to run about $26,000 to $30,000 in their budget, in their bank account. And that's how those other stalls got put there. Was that, the rodeo part paid for that. So, but if their kitchen's going over what they said, then they're gonna have to, besides the skid steer, they're gonna have to think about something there. And if they need extra pins, the arena is full of extra pins. The arena's got pins everywhere in it, so,
Okay, so you're saying no on the steel pipe,
yep,
and you're saying no on the skidster.
yep.
I say if we do the sound system, it needs to be under 6,000. I mean, that's just pocket change, but it's either no or 6,000.
And I don't know, they didn't put any paperwork in here on that, so I don't know where they got that amount. I'm a yes on the snack bar. I mean, it is about to fall apart. And that is a moneymaker for them. It helps generate some funds. The sound system, I think they need that for the sales and stuff. We need a decent sound system. And I had written down bid on here the last time, so I don't know if they were getting another bid.
And I put question mark. But then I did my own homework and found those prices. I just forgot to bring them. So I said we'll cut this one down to 206,000.
206? How are you doing that?
6,000 for the sound system and 200 for the kitchen.
Trent said that the kitchen's gonna be about 230.
Yeah, there's another 30,000 right there on the kitchen.
Well, then we'll,
If we went to 240, that would be 230 for the snack bar and then 10 for the sound system. That should give them a little leeway in that.
okay, so 240.
Says current year-to-date expenditures for all of them. So this should be through, actually probably through the check run that's happening tomorrow.
This is what,
This gives you the year-to-date expenditures.
Oh, okay.
That's an updated amount.
Oh,
that we
perfect.
paid out to all of those.
Oh, good.
Thank you.
let's do that, let's do the 240, if they can cut the cost of the kitchen down a little bit somehow. Maybe it won't come in the full 30,000 extra, then they got the money to, so let's just figure the 240 period for,
Okay.
Okay, I
think
got that.
That's good.
You get that, Julianne?
No, sorry, I just walked back in. What, you on the fairgrounds still?
On the fairgrounds, you have it in at 309, 991, cut that down to 240 even.
I'm sorry, how much?
240,
Okay.
240.
Got it.
And that's for the
Building,
sale barn and the kitchen,
Okay.
the sound system and the
Yeah.
sale barn.
Okay.
Okay.
So go back up to the top and start with the Main Street. They're at 60,000, and they were what, last year?
Main Street was 40,000 last year.
it shows they haven't spent all that yet. What does it say here?
They said they spent, oop, wrong one.
I don't know.
Looks like
They've only spent 7,600 as of now from their 40.
well, Julianne just gave us this
New
new
one?
sheet. It's on here, it's way down here at the bottom.
All right, at the bottom,
It
okay,
looks
there's.
like year-to-date expended, they've spent 22, almost 23,000.
Yeah.
They're toward the bottom. 17,378 is what we paid them to date.
Oh, that's the,
Oh, I'm sorry, that's encumbrances.
Yeah.
Sorry. You're right, it's 22,621.
Okay.
So they've spent just a little over half.
And this funding request increase was for the purpose of them having another employee. Is that right?
Yeah.
I say leave it as it is or reduce it.
I agree.
You want to leave it as it
Because I have.
this year's
So
at 40?
They had 40 last year, I think we leave it at 40.
I'd go with that.
Just ordered for the year for the full amount of the award, and then we pay against it. Some of them end up not using 100% of it, and some of them, it rolls over, and we pay the remaining,
Oops, that's
whatever
the wrong
amount
one.
it is, in July of the next year, because we want them to finish their June 30th, for their expenditures, so they can still submit to us up until like the second week of July, and we pay out whatever amount.
Okay, the
it
next
is.
one is the library.
That's why it's 100%.
The library's not asking for the same as what they have. They've only, let's see what they have. Julianne, Main Street went from 60 to 40 is what they asked last year. And the library's at 30,000 something.
I don't even see them on this green sheet.
I don't see it.
So right up there where it says Public L.
Oh, there we go. It's up at the top, about the fourth one down, public L.
Okay.
So they've spent about 31 so far.
31 and asking for 50.
Mm-hmm.
I say, and they've always asked for 50 and always spent about 32. So I say we take them down to 35.
I'd go for that.
So now we're down to cap. They've asked for 25, they've spent 17 now.
I think I'd leave it at 25.
I agree.
Leave cap at 25, Julianne?
Uh-huh.
The only thing I want to say on that one is they do use the funding for a federal or state match. So
Does it have
you
to?
might want to consider that.
So if we only do 25, then they would only get a match of 25?
I'd have to look and see
So that would
if she
be,
specifically stated how much was for that.
So it's
so that would cost them about $7,000 between us and the match if we didn't give them the full, right?
This is not a match. This says that there are 50,000 requests for public library materials, books, youth STEAM kits, DVDs, database, periodicals, subscriptions, braille materials, large type books, and ebooks and audiobooks.
But on this, it says it's used for a match.
Okay.
See, it's on this thing right here. The ones with a check.
So they didn't match then last year? Is that what that means? It's not a match.
We're looking at capped, you're looking at the library.
I'm losing my mind.
Right down there. We're on cap.
We're not on cap?
Yeah, we are on
Okay.
cap.
Never
We are.
mind, I
Yeah,
read everything
yeah.
about the library.
Yeah.
What did you decide on the library?
On the library,
Yeah,
it's 35.
okay.
Okay, so if capped is, if that is really a federal match, which it says that it is, and if we don't give them the additional, what they're asking for, that would be 3,500 less for us, 3,500 less from the federal match, so that it would actually cost them $7,000 in less in funding, correct?
Mhm.
Possibly, she doesn't specifically state what portion of this funding that I can see is gonna be used for the match.
Cap is Teresa, isn't it?
And they only used, if last year was the same thing, a match, they only used $18,000 of it.
That's true. So,
So stick with the 25?
Yes.
oh, actually, no, you're looking at, transportation, I think. Capped, this is, FY '23 is the first year that we've funded them recently. Yeah, and we've, so far, year-to-date, 17,800. But potentially they will expend all of it by the end of the year.
So Julianne, on caps, while we're looking at it, you've got the 25 they asked for, the 17,879 they've up to date, then what's left over, and you have them marked, percentage used at 100%.
Yes, because when they sign the agreements with us, I do a purchase order for the full amount of the award that they're receiving. So that way we do one purchase order for the entire year, and as the invoices come in, we pay against it. If there's anything left at the end of the year, it rolls over to July 1st, and, because we allow them to still submit receipts up through, dated up through June 30th, and they have an additional 2 weeks into July to submit that. So if there's any remaining budget at June 30th, they can still submit to get paid for that up through the middle of July. Some of them do, some of them don't. Some of them don't use 100%, but it will show that 100% has been encumbered for most of them because of the fact that we go ahead and do a purchase order for the entire year.
Okay. So we're gonna leave them at the 25 then?
25, yeah.
25?
Yep.
Okay.
So COPE is new, so we don't have any kind of track record to really see what they're gonna do.
And their main ask was because they've lost funding.
Right, yeah.
There are other available grant fundings for them to request, they just have to request differently. I just, I don't wanna give them 50 yet. I just wanna put that aside. Is
Okay.
that okay?
Put a pin in it for right now?
Yep. And then are we at the counseling center?
Mm-hmm.
The counseling center has only spent $78,000. Let me look at my green sheet. So $87,000. And then we gave them 110 last year, and they're requesting 110 this year. I think we could take that down to 100.
What are they at on what they've spent?
They've spent
Mine-
87,000.
Oh,
Yeah.
there we go.
They usually do spend all of their funding. They're one that at the end of last year, at the end of '23, they had spent $89,312, and then there was $14,498 that rolled over to this year,
See,
and we
that
paid
one's
that out in
matched
the
too.
first 2 weeks of July to them. So they do consistently use the full amount that they're requesting. So 23, 22, it was 103,810. This year and next year, they're asking for 109,854.
I think they usually use it to fund positions, so the shortage last year could have been because someone resigned or something.
It also says that they're a grant match.
Yeah, they're a match. I would say leave them where they're at.
Okay, I'm okay with that. I think because we're not gonna be able to do anything in Chaparral with the animal shelter, I think we need to increase their funds for spaying and neutering,
You talking about dog breath?
yes.
Dog breath, dog express?
Dog Breath Express. That's a mouthful.
So as of right now, they asked for 30 last year and they've spent 16.
Most of that money is for those vouchers that they've given out to people, and they just posted Dog Breath Express on Facebook to try and get people to use them before June 30th, because that's when this year's funding ends. But from when I spoke with Loretta last week or so, she said that they most likely will have enough expenditures for the remaining 13,600. So they will likely spend all 30,000.
I'm not really all that fond of giving them another 15.
I would say, I would go for the 30 that we gave them last year. Because that's still a pretty good chunk. You good with 30?
Yeah, I would even go up to 35 because I know the increase, but I don't feel good about the whole 15 extra.
35?
That's what I got.
Okay, let's do 35.
I mean, I do realize they're taking the overflow from our facility.
The Flickinger, I think, did we make a note to potentially take that out of the facility maintenance budget, that 50,000?
I think we did.
So that we could probably take that off,
Write that down.
and I'll just add that to
Because we're gonna redo their
Eric's.
Snack bar area.
facility
snack bar
maintenance budget.
area. Yeah,
Yeah.
so we're removing this, okay,
Okay,
good.
So we're leaving that one alone?
we're gonna put it on the building budget, so it'll come off of this one.
And Keep Tourism Beautiful actually lowered their request.
He also said he thinks this might be the last year that he'll need to request funding from us, so.
So I would leave that one there,
I'd leave that.
okay.
Good with that?
Yeah.
Good with that?
Better get that dog fired up.
I need to.
You're next.
That's
it, huh?
The dog could care less.
See how well behaved he is?
And it's my understanding your request is for your annual event, and,
For our professional conference.
yes, yeah.
I say yes.
I say yes too, I
Yeah.
wasn't able to go, I wanted to, just to pop in, but I hear good things about it. And I think that we, in turn, get that revenue back. So,
So it's a yes. So your dog can calm down now.
Take a break.
Yeah, yeah, go take a nap.
Okay, so that's gonna take us down to the extension office. And that's a 2,400 increase from the year before, right? Am I reading that right?
Yeah, and it's also a match.
a grant match, yes.
I would say yes to them. I mean, they
I say yes.
do a lot of good work for us. You yes?
Mm-hmm.
We're getting more agreeable, probably because it's getting closer to lunch.
Soil and water,
I say yes.
I say yes too, they do
Gotta
a
have that.
lot.
Presbyterian's a new one, huh?
Yeah,
Now, this was because of reallocation of,
We've been funding it for over a decade, but how we had funded it had been different, and it was more appropriate that it go through this process than,
and we've been funding of 200,000 and we're putting down 100,000, right?
I don't think that's on there, because I mean, we've never funded them through this process before, but it was
No, we
through the agreement that we
yeah.
had with
the
their.
contract,
Yeah.
it was with the lease management agreement. Yeah, I believe it was 200,000 previously.
Okay, so overall, we're cutting 100,000.
And this is on the facility in Chaparral, right? Yeah. But before the Gerald Champion, there was a funder on them too, right?
They still are, they're funding
Yeah.
them too. And that's part of the reason they're asking for less. Is they said they were getting part of it from the hospital.
So, yes, Candace?
I'd be that, yes, on that
Okay.
one.
And this is the first time that Thrive has also asked from us? second there, but.
Oh, that's Michelle and them, huh?
So 50 of it's operating and administrative, and 15 is marketing, communications, and advertising. I say 50.
I'd go 50.
50?
50. Is that good for you?
Yeah. But that's Michelle's salary. Oh, here comes a touchy one.
And are we on timber on this?
Timber on, yeah.
Don't we have issues with this? I know last year there was issues with this funding. Did all that get,
I don't know that that's been resolved. And I do know that they're not I don't think they're charging anything for their services. It seems like that would be a way to get the funding they're requesting, is they just charge for their services.
So this is just for the Southwest disposal.
Yeah,
That
that
is
was,
just for the
that was
disposal.
their extra.
I say 7,500. Kind of force them into start charging for their services.
Ralph, you had something on that. You said something on their, is it, you part of that?
No, I'm not. About 2 years ago, you and I had sat down at the road shop and talked to the community there about them developing a site through us. And when I told them they would have to go through the Solid Waste Bureau and go through the process, they dropped it.
So this is just another way, are they hiring an independent carrier?
Yes, Southwest Disposal is the one that goes up there and takes care of the containers and everything.
Well, they've only used 7,500, and they used 7,500 the years before that. So I say we give them 7,500.
Actually, they did use all 15,000, but 7,500 of it was paid. It rolled over, and we paid that 7,500 early this year from last year's funding. So they did use all 15,000 last year. It's just that a portion was paid this year.
I would leave them at 15,
Okay.
because they're using this for bug scuffle and everything, and that's such a dumping ground up there. We can help control some of that trash.
Okay, 15.
15.
So I'm sorry, you're going with 7,500 for them then?
15.
50.
Okay.
RB, what's the scoop on the weed community? They in, out?
In or out of what? Sorry.
Business?
They are operating, and we are still working on getting a lease in place for them, because it's necessary, but part of that requires them to have liability insurance. And the problem with that is that those two buildings are huge. And some of the activities that they're providing, like a fitness center and a playground, are things that insurance companies don't like, and insurance companies don't like vacancy, and some parts of it are vacant. And so, they're looking at $6,500 a year to insure it. And they don't have those funds, without getting some type of grant from the county. And they do a lot for that community, they provide a lot, and, if we are not able to do a lease with them, they will not be able to utilize those two buildings, and the community won't be able to, and we'll be sitting with two vacant buildings, that we own that aren't being used.
So we were gonna do a feasibility or something, or a study
see
on that. Has
what we
that
can-
been done?
The study has been done, but we haven't, received the
Report yet?
report yet.
So, on my piece of paper here, this weed community had got a yellow through it.
Because
Just
That's because
it
it's
was
new.
That's what?
They weren't aware of the deadline.
They added it.
Things are
late.
slower. up there.
So
Oh,
they just highlighted it, yeah.
I thought yellow was,
Question, yeah.
okay.
Okay, I'm a yes for the 10.
I am too.
That'll cover their insurance and a few
Yeah.
repairs.
Okay.
And I'm a yes for Zia Therapy, both routes.
Yeah, I think we're gotta do it, keep them going. You okay with that?
We didn't shave that down very much.
No, we didn't.
And we didn't decide on the chambers, only one. Oh, and Coke.
Being the first year, they've never come, I would, if you're gonna do it half or less than that.
I just think that there's other funding opportunities available for them. And since this wasn't put in as a grant match request or anything like that, I would like to start them off with, I don't know, 10,000.
I would go for that. For 10, and Coke.
Down to 10?
Yes. And I checkmarked the chamber already. I didn't put the check mark, I didn't put them on hold.
Okay.
Did we approve that or not? I can't.
I don't know if did you wanna leave the chamber at 59, or did you wanna do something else? That's the only one I've got left.
I thought we kept that.
I thought we did too.
Okay,
I got a yes by it. so.
okay.
Yeah, I marked it yes.
Julianne, how much we cut right there? We cut close
Actually,
to,
Sylvia just added it up, $223,491, so that's good. I mean, at least some of that.
500 from it.
I know. These
You
are
said
hard.
223.
$223,491.
well, there's a little bit.
So what else? Do we have anything else?
This is funding the street. This is done. This is done. This goes here. This is done.
I was hunting for that paper. There it was.
You got it. Now that it's done, you got it. So is that it? Do we have anything else? Holy cow.
I'll get all these changes added in there, and then when we have our special meeting toward the end of May, I think it's like the last Thursday of May.
So realistically, the only way you're gonna get rid of that $10 million deal is raise the taxes to get. I mean, you can't cut, you'd have to cut everything to get that.
Maybe if things go well in November, we can get some natural gas drilling going out on the Mesa, get some money from there.
Get the fuel prices down.
I mean, that's the reality check is all I'm trying to say. If you're gonna get into the budget, into the deal, something's gotta happen. People can't work for free and can't run equipment for free, but, I mean, that's a reality check.
Okay, are we
Well, I
finished?
think it'll look a little better when we get to the next meeting. Thank you for your decisions today, appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, with that, we are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you. For our July meeting,